welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to talk about narcissism. Narcissism is the most common dysfunctional relationship style in today's world. So we are going to cover this topic, and I'm also going to share with you 4 simple ways to deal with narcissists. So make sure to watch this video till the end. To understand narcissism, you have to first understand that there's a lot of labels and misconceptions about narcissism and someone being a narcissist and having narcissistic tendencies. You have to understand that people are not born narcissists. They go through experiences and traumas and so much hurt and unresolved pain that festers over time within themselves, and they stay disconnected from that love from within themselves, and that manifests for them in the form of extreme self-hate and shame. So their core belief becomes that of shame, and that's how they start showing these narcissistic tendencies. So I will explain about this much more to you. We cannot talk about this topic of narcissism without also talking about empathy, because to understand narcissism, you have to understand its polar opposite, which is empathy. An empath is someone who is able to put themselves in the shoes and the reality of someone else. They are able to detach from their own sense of self and able to tap into the realities, perspectives, feelings, emotions, thoughts, and experiences of the other person. And they do this in a healthy way which benefits them, because they're only gaining from this experience. They're gaining new information and new knowledge. In this way, they're also connected to that beautiful and infinite stream of love that connects us all. Imagine that you have the ability to tap into different dimensions and universes and versions of reality. The more your heart is open and connected to that love frequency, the more easily you will be able to do that, because your heart helps you to detach from your egoic self, from the self that you think you are, and that limits your perception, that limits your ability to observe reality from an objective perspective. Empathy is the ability to tap into or teleport into someone else's universe and then consciously coming back into your own. Empaths do this all the time, telepathically, emotionally, within themselves. It's like a state of being that they experience. Now imagine someone glued to their own reality. They are stuck and their feet are cemented to one reality, one perspective, one dimension of existence that they perceive to be their reality. Imagine that this person's entire body is glued and they are never moving, they are never changing, they are never evolving when it comes to their consciousness. They are stuck in that same reality, and from that space they are not able to access the stream of love that is around them, because their heart is closed. They have kept their traumas alive within themselves, and the pain has festered so much over time that they stay stuck in their own bubble and version of reality. This is narcissism, staying in your own bubble or version of reality, which is dictated by shame and self-hate. When you are disconnected from your heart because of trauma or anything that you may have experienced, or the beliefs that you are holding in your mind, you become less and less receptive to the higher frequencies that are around you. You become less and less receptive to the frequency of love. And when you are in this state of being, it's very difficult for you to step out of that perception and that belief because you are glued to it. A lot of the people confuse self-love and self-focus with narcissism, when in fact they are completely different. Because when you are connected with the frequency of love and you truly and actually love yourself, self-love is a state of your being, then your values remain intact. They remain so intact that you cannot hate other people, you cannot judge them, you cannot view yourself as separate from them or separated from this love consciousness. So self-love and self-focus should never be confused with narcissism. I want to give you an example to understand narcissism even more. Imagine a child is born into a household and this boy grows up viewing their parents being emotionally unavailable. This child always tries to gather their parents' attention but is unable to do so because they are so preoccupied in their own version of reality. So this child's emotions are not validated, they do not experience a healthy sense of closeness, and their core concept becomes that of shame, that no matter what I do, how I behave, I will never get the attention or unconditional love of mom and dad because there is something innately wrong with me. And along with this pain festers within them and it creates beliefs like, and most of these beliefs are, by the way, subconscious. So it creates beliefs like the only way in which I can gather someone's love or attention or meet this need is to be completely self-focused and to behave in this emotionally unavailable way, because no one can actually ever get attached to me because there is something wrong with me. So they become and start to imitate the trauma of the people that they were traumatized by, and they grew up to be this hyper independent person who is always working and always busy, and all they care about is money and perfectionism. They bulldoze everyone at the cost of having their own needs met because they believe that those needs of love and affection and closeness cannot be met in a healthy way because that is their trauma. When someone has narcissistic tendencies, they are hyper focused and zoomed into their own reality. They cannot view reality from an objective perspective because, just as we talked about, they are glued to their belief systems because they're stuck in that loop of trauma, because they are disconnected from the love or the higher awareness that they came with has blurred out or kind of lost. Abuse, manipulation, and toxicity bleeds out from their internal world to the external world, and this is how people perceive them to be narcissistic, to be mean, to be rude, to be heartless and selfish. The truth is that humanity is in a narcissistic relationship with nature. There are so many examples of narcissism that I can give you, but some of them in plain sight are as follows. The food industry creating products for their own benefit, irrespective of its consequences on your health. The education system setting up high standards for all kids to be good at the same thing and feeding off of negative motivation irrespective of its devastating impact on their mental and emotional health. The media promoting cancel culture and unethical practices to fulfill a singular agenda misusing their power to impact millions of people. These are all examples of narcissism in plain sight. Narcissism that has been normalized. Narcissism that has made its way so deep into our society that not everyone recognizes it. Being in a relationship with a narcissist or someone with narcissistic tendencies can be highly stressful and toxic and draining, because you're never gonna feel safe. You're never going to feel heard or even considered, because a narcissist is in a self-hate relationship with themselves. A person who doesn't love themselves unconditionally and is not connected to that stream of love source, and they're not consciously practicing love and compassion, can never make you feel safe. That self-hate is only going to bleed out. Their hurt and trauma and pain is only going to bleed out because they are not consciously working on healing it. And this is what you need to realize before I share the practices of how you can deal with narcissists. You need to realize first that just because we have talked about and you have understood why narcissism is born within people and why they are narcissistic does not mean that you have to be their savior. You have to be their healer. You have to completely take all of that pain and make it your responsibility, because you cannot actually change people. People have to be willing to change themselves. And most of the people who are narcissistic do not accept that they are narcissistic. People who accept that they are narcissistic or have narcissistic tendencies stop being a narcissist, because they are finally taking accountability and they are willing to be on this path of healing and self-love. So now I will share with you 4 simple practices on how you can deal with a narcissist. The first one is practice clear emotion. If you're dealing with someone who is narcissistic, chances are they blame everything upon you. These people are disconnected from the love within themselves. So the only way they subconsciously think they can get it is by constantly having them to be made the center of attention. So they constantly want to receive your reactions, because they feed off of action and reaction, cause and effect. Them doing something such as abusing you and you going into this downward spiral, or wanting to be with them, they running away from you and you chasing after them. This is a cycle of action and reaction, which is actually a manipulative way of trying to get your attention, even at the cost of your mental health, of your mental and emotional being, because they're not thinking about you. They're only focused on what they are doing and how they are right. So it's important for you to stay in this neutral space of not reacting, of not allowing their actions to dictate how you are going to show up, how you are going to feel from within yourself, how you are going to operate in your reality. And along with this, you also need to stop taking their actions personally. When you stop taking their actions personally, you realize that everything that they are doing is a reflection of what's going on within them. You're able to detach from them or from the connection or the situation itself, and that helps you view it from an objective perspective. If you want to know more about how to deal with triggers when someone triggers you, even if a narcissist triggers you, and how you can deal with it, you can watch my video on my YouTube channel titled Dealing with Triggers. Here you will find in-depth practices that will help you dealing with triggers, and also come into this neutral space where you are the master of your own emotions. Number 2, reconnect with the truth. You need to become aware of what is actually the truth about the situation. You need to reconnect with logics and facts. A lot of the times, people who have such tendencies flip the script. They switch the truth and the lie because of their need to glorify themselves and because their core self-belief is that of shame. So, for example, you are in a relationship with a narcissist and they did something completely out of the line or toxic, and you break up with them. Chances are they are going to tell everyone that they broke up with you because you are the problem of the relationship. People with such tendencies like to play the blame game and to just put all of that responsibility and the problem on you and make you the scapegoat for everything that is going wrong in their life or everything that they are uncomfortable about. They can't stand anything to do with accountability and self-reflection and self-ownership. This is when you have to realize what the truth actually is, instead of internalizing that blame or thinking that there is something wrong with you, or just accepting all of that blame or shame that they are deflecting on to you. You have to stop internalizing it and you have to open your eyes and see the truth for yourself. And remember that no matter how much someone tries to blame something onto you or make you the bad guy in their story, it doesn't really matter as long as you give your power away, as long as you accept all of that dysfunctional relationship behaviors and keep yourself stuck in it. You have the power within yourself, which brings us to the third step. It's taking your power back. When you cover up for someone else's toxic behavior because you think you love them, you are mistreating yourself. You are keeping yourself in that pain that was never yours to begin with. You also need to ask yourself, why are you attached to this person? And also, why are you attracted to them? Also, you need to ask yourself and consciously go within yourself to reflect upon why you are attracting such people in your life. This does not mean that you are blaming yourself or thinking that you are the problem for attracting everyone and everything in your life, because you can't really control that and everything is not your fault. But it's simply to self-reflect upon, is there something that this person is mirroring inside you? If you have this tendency within you to play the victim, then definitely you are going to attract someone who wants someone to play a victim for them and keep enabling their toxic behaviors. So in this case, you will need to come out of your victim mentality and empower yourself. This way you are going to realize that you deserve love and loyalty and respect and integrity and authenticity and whatnot. This will help you break the cycle and take your power back, which you gave away. The power that you thought that you never had, that you thought was in the hands of this person, because you were stuck in that victim mentality. You have to stop sacrificing yourself because of someone's inability to take accountability for their actions and their inability to change. You don't have to cut your own self-worth in half because of their inability to love you. Taking your power back also means accepting, seeing the truth of someone, that they are actually a narcissist, that they are actually toxic, that they are actually projecting their own self-hate and traumas and pain and suffering onto you without wanting to change, without ever wanting to resolve the conflict or actually reflect or even try to heal themselves or even accept what they are doing and how they are behaving and what they are saying. Acceptance is about seeing the truth just the way it is. It's not about validating it or using it as an excuse or approving of it. It simply means you see things clearly. You see the truth of people just the way it is, irrespective of how you want that truth to be, irrespective of how you expect and deeply want that person to be or behave. Number 4, you need to stop self-sabotaging. When you keep going back to someone who you know is toxic, who you know is abusive, you are sabotaging yourself. You're not taking your power back. You're not accepting the truth of that person. Only the people who genuinely want you to see grow and expand and become empowered and work in a conscious way in a relationship with you deserve your attention. Constantly going back and forth with the same person shows that you are not in an empowered state where you are making a clear decision based off of your intuition, and you are just keeping yourself in this toxic loop of trying to get a need of love met from the wrong person just because it feels familiar to you. You need to wake up to the fact that you are trying to get a need met manipulatively from the wrong person. That if you keep yourself in this loop, then it will become harder and harder in the future for you to get out of it, because you're constantly feeding it in the present, and that is becoming your future. You're not loving yourself. You're participating in self-hate. The universe does not want you to keep yourself stuck with people who don't love you. Maybe you can consider the fact that the reason that you had an encounter with this person was for you to empower yourself. Maybe you are meant to be an example of someone who is not going to accept their toxic behaviors and who is not going to enable it anymore. It doesn't mean that they are going to change by you changing, by you empowering yourself, because it's not about them. It's about you. When you truly love yourself, you align and go in the direction of people, places, and things that are self-loving, that are going to provide you with that love and closeness in a healthy way, in a conscious way. And you gravitate towards the opposite of that when you have unmet needs within yourself. And when you are governed by your trauma, by the needs that weren't met for you during your childhood, when you were unheard, rejected, neglected, abused, abandoned in any kind of way. To learn more about abandonment issues and how to heal abandonment trauma, watch my video titled Healing Abandonment Trauma. You need to also look at your inner child healing, because oftentimes what was unhealed from our childhood is what we repeat in our adult relationships. The kind of traumas we experienced in our childhood that went unresolved make us a vibrational match to people in our adult relationships who mirror that trauma. And the universe is not trying to punish you through this. It's only trying to show you through those people what you need to heal, so that you finally break that pattern, so that you finally look at that trauma and free yourself from it. So love is the antidote of narcissism. It is the cure. Loving yourself. If you see any narcissistic tendencies within yourself, see how you can pour love from within yourself. See how you can work on healing yourself. All encompassing love of the universe is the antidote to narcissism. When you truly love yourself and you work on healing yourself, and getting into the roots of your narcissistic tendencies. You're welcoming the love of the universe. You are welcoming the healing forces of the universe. When you truly start pouring love into yourself and work on healing yourself and getting into the root of those narcissistic tendencies, you are connecting with the stream of love. You are no longer seeing yourself as separate from other people, because you no longer see yourself as separate from the entire universe. So I hope that this video helped you in any way, and I thank you for being here. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel and press the like button, and let me know in the comment section below how you feel. Stay blessed. I will see you in the next video.